Welcome to an episode of Derek Muhammad's show, where we get knowledge, wisdom, understanding, culture, and refinement. I'm your host, Derek Muhammad, and I got a special guest in the building, in the digital building, Candice Lenoir. Now, Candice Lenoir is an actress, author, producer, businesswoman. She's cold-blooded. I remember seeing her, and I'm going to get into that with her when we bring her in. But I remember seeing her on Tony Clomax's web series, 12-Step Recovery, he shot in New York, which to me, as a filmmaker, is one of the coldest web series to date. Comedy web series, you should check it out on YouTube, 12-Step Recovery. But I'm not going to waste no more time because time is of the essence. Let's bring in our guest, our special guest, Chicago native, living in Los Angeles, California, doing her thing. Welcome to the Derek Muhammad Show, Candice. How you doing, Mama?
I am wonderful. How are you, Derek?
All right. First, you know what? I want to say congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
Let me ask you. You just put the book out. How long did it take you to write the book?
So it took me about 8 months. I'd say about 8 months to write it.
Okay.
Then within the 8 months, after that, it was the editing phase. After I got everything out, sending it to an editor, first more so for just like grammar, and then getting it back and wanting a content editor to take a look at it. So from me actually writing it to sending it to someone, it was the 8 months. And then within that time period, it was like an additional 2 to 3 months after that. Because we went right into COVID in the middle of it. And so a part of me was like, okay, well, let me just, like, what are we doing? Who's doing anything? And then when it looked like we wasn't coming out of this, I was like, oh, I need to keep going. So
Right. So look, this is the book, right?
Yes.
Being number one, overcoming obstacles and healing your inner child.
Right.
Now let me read the back of this because I love what you said here. This book is a love letter to myself. Mm-hmm. Throughout this book, I assure the little girl within me that it's okay to heal, be open and vulnerable. I'm affirming to her that she is beautiful, she's wonderful, and how important it is to take care of herself. And I'm also telling her to forgive and love herself. Girl, you know what? This is medicine right now. You healing people with your book. What's up with that?
I mean, I feel like, as people, we're put here on the earth, not for ourselves, we don't know how we will impact other people, but our stories, or when we do our part, it helps someone else. So for me, I feel like if I'm living my truth, if I tell my truth, somebody else that might have gone through something similar, they may find healing in this, or find like, I'm not alone. I know how to, come out of it. So I'm just honestly just trying to show up and do my part.
Man, you know what? I think it's a gift when you be able to share your vulnerability with people. People you know, people you don't know, people who know you but never knew your trials and circumstances. That takes courage,
Yeah.
Let me just say this for all the listening artists. I'm here with Candice Lenoir. She's an author, she's an actress, she's a producer, she's just incredible. And she wrote a book here called Being Number One. So let's ask you, what does being number one mean? And what is your version of being number one means? Because I know it's a hidden meaning in there somewhere.
It is. So first, I have to give thanks to my editor for the title. Her name is Deanna Carpenter. When I was telling her about my book beforehand, because she's a sorority sister of mine, I would just explain to her what the book was about. I was trying to figure out what I wanted the title to be. And from the story I was telling her, being number one just kept playing over and over in her head. And I was like, really? She's like, yeah. And so I sat with it. And it worked for me because a lot of my stories is from the perspective of being the firstborn. And that's what it is, like being the firstborn, the eldest child, what that means when you have those responsibilities and things of that nature. And being that I'm a former athlete, I like to play on words because, every athlete or anybody that's trying to achieve stuff is like being number one. They want to be the best at it. So it's like, okay, I like that word play and what does it mean to people. So, but it's about being the eldest and the things that comes with it, the responsibilities and things like that.
I love what you said. Look, you got a lot of A's in this chat room. We got Ashley Noel Jackson. She said yes. Then Tina Campbell. Yes, Chi-Town in the house. Then my girl Juanita Magdi from Chi-Town. She said salon. And then another, Tina Campbell said, it's truly a gift, no shame. What's up, Grace? And Juanita said, hey, sis. So I just wanted to share this, what these people in the chat room is chiming in on. It is truly a gift and no shame. So you say you was a former athlete. What did you play? What was your sport?
I played volleyball, basketball, and softball. Basketball, I was a 2 guard, so I got a little jumper. I got a little in softball, I played third base. So, that's coming right off the bat, quick. Gotta have quick hands and stuff like that. And in volleyball, all the positions, but in each of those sports, defense was like my thing. I was that one that was gonna be up in your grill.
You aggressive.
I'm assertive. No, I'm aggressive.
I hear that.
Well, you need to be, you're not afraid to get your hands dirty. Or I'm not, what's interesting? I'm not a crap talk. I don't talk crap. I just be like, because a lot of times people don't think I had the game that I had for whatever reason, but we'll leave it on that.
Show and prove. I know that's right. Okay, so you being the oldest of how many, and what was some of the things that you had to do to say, you know what, or your characteristics said, you know what, I gotta just hold this thing down and look out for my younger ones.
My youngest is So it's 3 of us. It's all girls, and my mom passed at an early age. I was 13. My middle sister was 9, 10, and the baby was like 3. So that was one. But even before then, my mom suffered from drug abuse. So there was a lot of responsibility that was left on me at an early age, or rather she did it, or somewhere in my body felt like I needed to be responsible and I needed to take care of my siblings and make sure things happen. So for me, I would say starting at a very young age, I started chapter out. I was 5, and just where I decided that one day I wanted to go to the store, get a gallon of milk at 5 years old, and bring it home, like prove that I can carry this milk and I can handle finances and all of this other kind of stuff. But and what it did to me when the milk burst onto the floor, like how that set a stage in my life, like for a long time, not wanting to mess up and having to do everything, extra right, kind of like that perfection syndrome in a sense. And those are some of the things as to why, like being the eldest or being number one, those responsibilities fall on me and having to, to deal with that.
Being competitive, being assertive, being number one, being in charge.
Yes.
Taking charge of whatever you want, right?
Yep.
I assume that's how you get down.
Charge, but you can lead in all kind of ways, right. But definitely it is my personality, especially if I feel that I have to protect or care for, people or the loved ones around me. I'm going to take charge in that. Or in the past I have.
You got a beautiful quote in here. You say, I am power. I speak life. I'm a game changer and I'm an influencer. Let's talk about that, girl. If you're going to come on this show, you got to drop these jewels, mama. So let's express yourself.
Yeah, so that is a part of my raison d'etre. So I study at Richard Lawson Studio here in LA. And
shout out to Richard Lawson. Right.
Lawson, right?
Yes.
And he talks a lot about your dream, your purpose. What is your purpose? What is your raison d'etre, your reason for being? And I've always had some sort of raison d'etre. I didn't call it that, but something of knowing like what my purpose was. But like being at the studio and just, walking in who I am, truthfully, it really allowed me to carve out what is my raison d'etre? What is my purpose? What am I standing for? So with those things saying that I am power and I'm a game changer is because when you do have power, you can decide how you want to move in it, how you want to use it. We see that's going on in office right now,
Right.
It's like, how do I want to affect change? What I do today, how would it impact tomorrow? So I'm embracing my power. I'm not running from it because sometimes we do,
Yes.
So I'm
Yes.
embracing it and I recognize what it comes with. And if I'm gonna have this power, if I'm gonna change the room, I have to take responsibility of it and walk in it and do what I'm put here to do.
That's a beautiful thing because what you're really talking about is shining your light
Yes.
and knowing your superpowers and showing up as a superhero. Not to say, ta-da, I'm here, but to walk in your power and not allow circumstances, situations to affect what you want to do.
Exactly.
I love that. Man, so with that mindset, that allowed you, because walk me through who you are, like how you got to this point. Walk me through that, and then we'll go into the book some more. Because there's some layers in here that we got to uncover, Candice.
How I got to Candice today, or who I am.
Yes.
Okay. Look, growing up in Chicago, you learn a lot. So I'm big on your experiences can help you. They don't have to necessarily define you, or you have to be a creature of, like, especially if it's bad things. But everything in life is a lesson. And it's like, what are you going to do with those lessons, So for me, I feel like, again, growing up in Chicago, having, my mom and my dad both been on drugs, losing my mom at 13, my father at 18, and having to navigate life without them. And figure out a lot of stuff on my own or support, myself, as far as like going through school and things of that sort. It kind of gave me an armor of, you can do it, you can make it no matter what, you know what I mean? So to always like push through and persist. But then also on the flip side of that, with some of those things happening, the obstacles in life, also I'm about love, about forgiving and being able to reach back and help those that's behind you or right there on the side of you. And when I think about like where I'm at in life and being able to say I'm walking in my power, or wanted to be able to just share some form of light, it's like taking all those things together. I'm like, I don't want to call it a hodgepodge, but I am truly all of those experiences. And I decided I'm not going to let those experiences push me down, but elevate me and utilize it and help some other girl or boy that's in my area. But that's like far as the character is concerned. And then it's just like, I'm thankful that I've always had fabulous people around. I always had like a cool girl tribe from college. I went to FAMU in high school, my basketball, softball team, my aunts, those were the first girl tribes in my life, My mom had sisters, and that's who raised me after she passed. And so just really, taking in those people and loving on them and them loving on me, and being able to share information, energy to elevate each other, in life.
Man, it's beautiful because when you're saying like being number one and overcoming obstacles, a lot of people don't even recognize when they do overcome them or how to overcome them. Right. What are some tools that you use to do that? And what would you suggest for people who are struggling with that?
Yeah, I will be 100% honest. When I was younger, looking back, I think I ran. And I say I ran because mom dies at 13. Moved with grandma and aunts and have my sisters. I put all my energy into school and sports. Like that was my outlet. Now people like that's a healthy outlet, so no one's, tripping on it, But it was so much of energy there that I did not I didn't really always deal with the fact that my mom died. You know what I mean? It was like what women do. We put our energy somewhere else, focus on somebody else. that type of thing. And it helped me and it served its purpose then. But then when I turned 18 and my father passed, and then it was like a freaking shock. Like, oh my gosh, I'm here by myself, I'm an orphan. And that was when I, at that time, experienced both their deaths at the same time. Really, really taking that in, what that meant to me and them not being here. And I still had a lot of life to live, hopefully. So I would say at first I ran from it and I channeled it in good, and I feel like in good ways. And even as an artist, when things happen, I feel like out create what your situation, you know what I mean? But I think now as an adult, I recognize there's points where you have to face it and deal with it. If it means you're gonna cry, I journaled a lot. I think that helped me. Therapy. I didn't do therapy until I was an adult. I should have done it younger. Those were some of the things. And then I think I found therapy in like friends and family members and, and stuff like that. But like going to someone that's really a professional, I think is needed. So those are some of the ways that I overcame it. I saw it as running, but it was channeled in a good way. And but then when I had to face it, really facing it and dealing with it, and I'm always like analyzing or self-analyzing myself, like, how do I feel? And let me tell you this, I think acting and doing the Meisner technique, because when I was in New York, I studied at William Esper Studio, and when I first started learning Meisner, you got to do the whole, you say something and you got to ask yourself how you feel. It's like you just open wound, like you just start feeling everything. And that has helped me in life, because when something happens, I take it in and I'm just like, well, how do I feel about this? Like I really process what it means versus, a lot of times we deflect and we just go into the next thing. We're not thinking about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. So,
question.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Tina Campbell said, Candice, you are so inspiring. And she's one of your big, and Ashley Nicole say she's a big fan of yours. So let me ask you. So, okay, Chicago.
Yeah.
Chicago is a tough town, and it's cold.
Oh yeah.
It's cold. It's bone chilling cold. It's North Pole cold. I used to go to Chicago all the time, and it's a tough town. What was your motivation to say, you know what, I'm not gonna fall into the drug addiction or the negativity or being gang banging or whatever, because I know girls gang bang too. They, right. So what was it that you did to remove yourself from the environment that you grew up in?
I always sought after something more. I don't know where or why it was in me, but I always knew I didn't want to be necessarily a product of my environment, and I did not want to be a statistic. So those things motivated me. I don't want to say negatively, but that was negative motivation. You know what I mean? To make you say, I'm going to school, I'm getting out of here, or whatever the case may be. So when growing up in Chicago, and you seeing like you in third grade and stuff like that, and about the time you get to fourth or fifth grade, friends getting in gangs, or all the little stories. You're in the park where you take your ballet and dance, but then in the other area, people getting jumped in to be in the gang. I was just like, no. I always just knew it was something more, and I always felt like God put something in me, and I was supposed to do something else. And
you kept your dream alive.
I kept my dream alive, not necessarily even knowing that was a dream, then, but just this wasn't it.
Right.
This wasn't it. Yeah.
Right. So how did you get the fam move? And then I want to ask you about New York and acting in New York, and it will bring you up to modern time.
Right. Okay. How did I get to FAMU, which is one of the best HBCUs? I love my FAMU experience. So in high school, okay, let's be real. A different world.
Oh, word.
What? A different world.
Shout out to Dr. Cosby.
Yes. I know there's a lot we can talk about there, but what that show did for Black people, and just even the numbers of kids going to college in that time period was beautiful. So watching A Different World and seeing that experience, was like, oh, I want to go to a black college. I was like, I want to go to a black college. I did. I had a cousin that went to FAMU. I never went to visit her during that time, but I knew I wanted to get out of Chicago. That is what I love Chicago.
Right.
Yeah. So I knew I wanted to get out of Chicago, and I felt like that was because I felt like if I would have stayed there, I would have been drowning in family situations and issues and things, and because I know my personality and I know where I would have placed myself to try to help situations. So I wanted to go away. I did a HBCU tour where we visited Howard, Spelman, FAMU, was some other schools on the list. And I remember this guy telling me, he said, when you go to on a campus, lay in the middle of that campus and ask yourself, can you be there for the next 4+ years? And so Howard was cold. I didn't want to be in a cold climate because, I'm from Chicago.
Right.
Spelman, I was like, all girls school, I don't know, but okay, we got Clark and we got, a Morehouse right there, so maybe not so bad. But when I went to visit it, I felt like I was still in Chicago, like I was on 71st Street. So I was like, I don't know about this. And when I went to FAM, I liked it. It's a lot going on around FAM, but how it was encased in the being on the yard, the hill or whatever, it was just, I was like, I can see myself here. It was nice climate, all the beautiful, brilliant Black people walking around. And then at that time, I was wanted to do accounting. So their business program, I did their 5-year MBA program. At that time was like rivaling Harvard and stuff like that. So it was just phenomenal what the program had to offer. And that was pretty much how I made the decision. My stepfather wanted me to go to Notre Dame because he's from South Bend, Indiana. But for me, I was like, nah.
That's dope. Okay, so you graduate from FAMU. How'd you get to New York and how'd you start acting? And what made you start acting?
So in all of I would say the times that I wanted to pursue acting, because I fell in love with film and TV from watching Lady Sing the Blues when I was younger. It was my mom's favorite movie, and it was like my life in a way. But I fell in love with that movie, and from watching that movie, from the time I also played a Munchkin in The Wizard of Oz, one of our school plays, I always had that like buddy. It made me nervous. Like I've done a lot of activities, sports, dancing, and it didn't make me as nervous. But when it came to acting, it was always something. My stomach would just be like bubble guts boiling over. So I'm like, what is this? So it was like I recognized that I really wanted it. So when I got to film, I went into the school to minor in theater. But because I had the 5-year MBA program, we had to do like 18 hours a semester. It was like, oh, no way I could do that in theater. So it wasn't until my junior year that I actually made theater my minor, because all my business courses was closed. And then I was able to take, theater classes, and I loved it. And I got to shout out somebody really quickly. This guy, his name Moon, he used to go to FAMU. He was before his time too, because he used to make films and all this. And we used to have, that was web series before there was web series.
Wow.
I didn't give up the date because then I'll be aging myself, and I probably already did that. But that was web series before web series. His name Erwin Moon. So I just shout him out. Yeah. And then from there, just to like fast forward it, minored in theater, wanted to do it, tried to decide if I was going to go to grad school, but I didn't have enough credits, because you got to have a certain amount of credits for to go to grad school for theater. So speaking with a cousin, she was just like, well, are you trying to teach, or what do you want to do? So she introduced me to conservatories and 2-year programs. And so I started looking into that. And I actually got to New York because my last year of school, I did my last internship in Connecticut. And so I used to travel in Hartford, Connecticut. I used to travel on the weekends back and forth to New York, like trying to learn about what's going on in New York. And then after I graduated, I got a job offer in New York. And that was like, okay, I'm going to do this.
Wow, that's so dope. So, all right, I know you're proud of yourself.
I'm gonna receive that, because I never that's the one of those things you have to slow down and I guess pat yourself on the back, because I never think like that. Oh, I'm proud of myself. I don't normally take it in, just be like, oh, the next thing. But
Yeah, let me tell you something. This is advice for me, right? A lot of times, overachievers, and that's what you are. We go, go, go. We find the next go, go, go. We achieve those goals, and we don't take the time to smell the roses.
absolutely.
We don't take the time to look at the distance that you came from and all the shit you had to overcome, and all the disappointments, the success, and just being you and finding you. So I want to give you some virtual flowers that say, God damn it, you did it. You know what I mean? You should be proud of yourself. I just think that's incredible, because when you do that, you take it in, you assess yourself, then and naturally you're going to create another goal and you're going to achieve that one too. So from me to you,
I received that, and I'm a big up Richard Lawson also, because what he does teach us is like when we accomplish something to celebrate, and I didn't used to celebrate. I do celebrate now, so I do take the time to smell the roses, and I have to remind myself to smell them sometimes. But yeah, he definitely instills that celebration.
I'm gonna share something with you. I met Richard Lawson when I first moved to LA. I'm at this actors workshop, Kim Harden workshop, and he happened to speak there. John Singleton was there, Richard Lawson, someone else too, somebody dope. And anyway, Richard he's just a force of nature. And he said exact, and I trained with Karen White, so she used to train with Richard Lawson. And they knew each other, and she said, when I would go on auditions, and whether I get them or not, let's celebrate. So, you know what I mean? Celebrate your victory, whether you get it or not. And I remember going on 8 auditions one time in a day. I was 8 different people in one day. I enjoyed every bit of it. So, yeah, salute to you, and shout out to the amazing Richard Lawson. For people who don't know, Richard Lawson used to play on Dynasty. He was Diane Carroll's husband, and he's currently married to the Queen Bee's mama, Tina. Knowles Lawson, is that what it is, right?
Yes, and he just has his record, like his, as far as like the film and TV that he's done, it's so much, and his story is so interesting and it's so funny.
Yes.
And him and Miss Tina, they have Waco Theater, where art can occur, and I don't know if some people know about the galas that they've had over the years, but there's a lot of great things that's been happening at the Arliss Studio and their Waco Theater. So, big up to both of them.
So you're in New York. Tell us for New York, what were you doing, and when did you decide to go to Los Angeles? Which I don't blame you, because it's nothing like LA.
In New York, when I first came there, I was in corporate America, because that's what my job. I was a pharmaceutical sales rep.
Good money pushing though. Go ahead.
I did. I really did. And I've left corporate America a couple of times, but the first time that I left corporate America, I got a children's tour. It was Jack and the Beanstalk. And so we was going to be traveling for, I think it was like 4 or 5 months, to different cities doing this tour. And I was just like, okay, I'm out, I'm out of this corporate blah, blah, blah. So I resigned after talking to my grandmother, because that was big. Like, I felt like I had the weight of the world, because I needed to help my sisters and stuff like that. But my grandmother was like, live your life, live your life. And those words just mean so much, because she allowed me to live, and she also gave me my childhood when we lived with her. But so I quit my job, went on tour. And then when we came back from tour, I was like, okay, I don't want to really go in corporate. I started doing real estate. And then that's when I started studying at William Esper Studio 2-year acting program. And so just being in New York, meeting people, Tony Clomax and a gang of other folks, start doing independent films, web series, things of that nature, get your agents, all that kind of stuff. And I was in New York for 8 years. 8 years I was in New York, and I had decided that I wanted to Well, I knew I wanted to move to LA. I thought my stint in New York was going to be like 3 to 5 years, but I was in love and was in a relationship and all that good stuff. No, but so it ended up being longer. And by the time the 8 years came around, I wasn't in the relationship anymore, and I still wanted to go to LA. And I was just like, well, what's stopping me? And so a friend of mine, um, Chiquita Lodge, helped me do like a pros and cons list between New York and LA, like where to live, why. It was just a very intricate list of how we did this. I forgot what she called it, some kind of chart. LA won out by a small percentage.
That much, and probably the weather.
The weather was a huge factor.
Right.
It went out by a small percentage, but I felt like this is the time to do it. When else am I going to do it? If I didn't like it, I can always come back to New York. I mean, I'm not from New York, but I can always come back. And so I did it. I had a line sister that was here, Katara, and so we made a plan. I was like, okay, saved, had my money saved up. I was like, this is how much I could pay you for rent for X amount of months. How you feel about that? And so she was on board, welcome, not tripping. I didn't pay her a fraction. Let me tell you, I basically stayed there for free because how much it costs to live in LA.
Wow.
What I was helping with was probably helping with utility bills and I don't know, something else, but not the rent. So yeah, I moved here and I stayed with her, and we had our little period because my business mind was like, well, let's look at it from 6 months. And then we looked at it from a year, and we were good. It was a good roommate situation, so we kept it going for a while. And then she eventually she got engaged, and so I was just like, all right, it's time for me to go.
Right. Good for you. The adventure of it all, because it's hard to really like shape convenience, being comfortable. And when you're comfortable, why, who wants to be uncomfortable? But there's challenges in that, and that's when you find the real you, when you put yourself under pressure.
And when you do, and I just say this because people always be like, oh, was it an easy transition? I'm just like, no, because let me just say, I went from having my own condo with my guy ex or whatever in New York to living in a studio to 3 months before I moved to LA, staying on my friend's couch, his 1 bedroom couch, saving up money so that I could move, and then moving in. And you're adult, you're grown, and you feel like I done lived on my own, I done this, and sometimes you may feel like you're moving backwards, but sometimes you have to take a step back to change your pivot. It doesn't mean you're moving backwards, you know what I mean? But like a lot of times people are like, not gonna work, or I'm giving up everything. But it's like, what is it that you really want to do? So you gotta, it's not easy. It wasn't a cakewalk. I just want people to know that.
Yeah. So look, Atina Campbell said, amen, preach. Just another example of a strong Black woman. Hashtag Black excellence. Then Tyra Echo said, go Candice, with a big smiley face, giving you your virtual flowers too, baby. And then she said, Evan Park, go Candice. And Anthony Bertram, I respect Candice's hustle. Hashtag inspired. You know Anthony Bertram?
Yes, I know Anthony.
It's a small world.
It is a small world, absolutely.
Anthony,
do you know Evan?
Say again?
Do you know Evan?
I don't know Evan. No, I don't know Evan. But I know Anthony, because Anthony is an amazing actor. He was in my first feature film that I directed.
He is.
Yes. Salute to you, Anthony, for chiming in. So look, all right, so you in LA. Now you decide, you know what? I'm gonna write it down. But let's get into this book, because I don't want to. The book is dope. I breezed through, but I ain't read it all. But you got some stuff in here that just shows that you ain't no joke. You like, okay, there was a section you wrote that, I fight. I throw hands, right? You know what I mean? Y'all can pray to Jesus, but I throw hands, right? So let's talk about some fisticuffs and some pugilism that you get down and partake in. Huh?
That I used to get down and
I throw hands.
Look, listen, man, let me tell you, when you grow up in Chicago, you have to learn how to throw some hands. You really do, honestly. Yeah. So in that chapter, I'm talking about stuff falling down over
Don't
here.
worry, I'm dropping stuff too. So
um, I talk about me and some friends, like, unfortunately, when you're young and you're succumbing to peer pressure, if your friends have problems with somebody, you automatically have problems with somebody.
right. Gang, 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 gang.
It's gang, gang. Yes, absolutely. And so, I will say I used to have a temper problem. Nice person, but I can go there kind of quickly, still can, but I've learned how to manage those things these days. But when I was younger, and it was because of the stuff I was dealing with at home, you know what I mean? So it's like the stressors of this and that. But I used to fight boys a lot growing up. Not because I like fighting boys, but y'all like to touch girls and do different things, and
Oh, they was mannish, but I understand.
I wasn't having it.
Right.
But then some of it, like I said, was just coming from the stuff that was going on at home and me releasing my anger. But in the book, when I'm talking about me and some friends, we decided to have an organized fight club. We thought we were being civilized versus girls jumping in and beating each other, jumping in and stuff. We said, no, what we're gonna do, we're gonna match whoever say they have beef with one another. We're gonna match them against each other, and we're gonna fight. Nobody's gonna jump in. Nobody's gonna whatever. So like on the weekends, we used to have these fight clubs, and we thought we were being civilized, but truth be told, we was doing the same stuff that the gangs was doing. But yeah, so those were a lot of fights during that time.
First rule of Fight Club. You can't say Fight Club exists. Good friend. Man, that's a movie in itself too. Okay, all right, I got you.
Well, yeah, those are the hand throwing days. And then as I got older, I've had interactions. I've had a lot of interaction with. It's not good to say, but with men, unfortunately. But I don't recommend fighting men. I don't even know. I'm not gonna even go down that road. Never mind.
Yeah, right. I understand. I mean,
No,
I understand. Yeah, I totally get it. Right. Let me ask you this question. The name of your first car.
Oh yeah.
Tell us about that and how you acquired buying a car as a you was a teenager, right?
I was 18, turning 19. Mm-hmm.
Tell us that, because I know buying your first car when you used to walk in and catch them, that's a huge feat.
It is. So this was after my freshman year in college. And so a part of our business program, we had to do internships. And so I had scored an internship. Oh my gosh, why did it just escape me? Shoot, it'll come back to me. But I had acquired an internship in Chicago before I had left. And the program that I was a part of was like for minorities. The Inroads, that's the name of it, Inroads. I acquired an Inroads internship. So when I came back home that summer, I had saved up my money for my internship, and I also, like, I used to be really good. Well, I'm good now, but used to be really good like with finances and stuff like that. So I found a credit union, and I was able to get a small loan to pay the rest of that car off, for what I needed to buy the car. And yeah, so with my internship money and that loan, I brought my first car like by myself. And
man, huge. Yeah. Okay. So you got a book, and you talk about, all right, both your parents passed away, but you had a stepfather, right? Who was strong-willed, but you said, I've always had the ability to just tell him how the hell I felt. And he really, because you hate the name of Marie.
I do. Not
okay. And I ain't gonna give too much away, but I want to just talk about the relationship you have with your stepfather and how he was able to remove the circumstances where she wasn't around no more.
Okay, I'll definitely if I can. I just want to go back with the car situation.
Yeah,
buying that car that summer was bittersweet because that's the summer my father passed.
Mm.
So it was like I was doing something very big, and the person that I thought would be there to help me research and buy wasn't there, and that kind of like marked those moments. I'm gonna have a lot of firsts, and he's not gonna be here, or she's not gonna be here. So it was like high and low, you know what I mean, at the same time.
Yeah.
But yes, my stepfather, he's strong-willed. He was definitely a ladies' man, so to speak. And it was always this woman that was around, that always been around, named Marie. But how she got removed from the situation was when my mom passed. I was going back to school for back to like the north suburb. I went to school there for a brief moment for our 8th grade trip, and then I was coming back to live with my grandma and finish out 8th grade at the school there. So my stepfather picks me up. We about to drive out to north suburbs. We make a stop in the city, and I know he's picking up somebody. Didn't know who. In comes Marie, sitting in the front seat, smoking a cigarette and everything that I hate. And you know, I'm still a kid. I'm 13, so it's like, what do you say? But I just felt so disrespected in that moment, because for me, I was like, the audacity, my mom just died and you bringing this woman or any woman, like the audacity. And I don't know what Marie said. She said something, and my stepfather had gotten out the car, and I think he was getting gas, and I just told her, I was like, I don't like you. I never liked you. My mother don't like you. And I just said some other stuff. And it was like, I never said anything to that woman. But in that moment, it was like, I see you and I've always seen you. And as a woman, how are you here? How are you here? You know the situation. Why are you in this car? So
I can't wait to see the movie, but go ahead.
yeah. So after the coming back from the school trip, I had a conversation with my stepdad, because that was the moment when we were staying with my grandma, and it was kind of like the back and forth, because if my sisters was going to live with him, or if we were going to live with him, and blah blah blah. And I was like, no, I don't want any other women raising my sisters. And then I know if we lived with him, I would have been doing all the raising. And I just had to tell him like how I felt in regards to him bringing Marie in our life, or bringing her around. I was just like, I don't ever want to see her around. I don't ever want her around my sister. That was like one of the moments when I was like, I don't care if I get a whooping.
Right.
I'm telling you how I feel.
Right.
Don't ever. Because I would probably, back then, would have probably acted a plum fool if he did. The next time. I warned you. You know?
Right. I mean, I think that the beauty of that is the courage. And you kind of remind me of that. Remember Eve's Bayou? When she went off, I'm tired of sitting in this goddamn house. It's hot. What the hell wrong with it? She just cussed and Lynn Whitfield like, when you stop, you know what I mean? And I just love that scene when she showed her black ass. Yeah. So that's I mean, when I read it, I was like, oh, she had a little Eve Bayou moment going on, and it worked.
It worked. He respected that. He respected it. You know, my stepdad always did what he did, but she never came back around. That was for sure.
Good. Okay, so look, all right. I love the book. Okay, I think it's gonna be a bestseller. You're thinking that from my mouth to God's ears. Okay, all right. So you wrote the book. Did you self-publish this book also?
Yeah, I did. I self-published it. Yeah. And you know about that.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't have no choice. I do everything independent. So I ain't got no choice. Ain't nobody looking for me. You know what I mean? And when they come looking, it's going to cost them.
I feel you. Yeah, we have so many tools now where we can do so much on our own. And one of my friends, Jason Caston, that was like very instrumental in helping me with this process and teaching me things. He was just like, you should self-publish, because this was new. I was like, what do you even do? Who do you even go to? You know, you read stuff. I'm like, I don't have a literary agency or anything. So he's like, you can do it on your own. And he had already published books on his own. And so at first I was going to publish it through his company, but when talking about the things that I wanted to do in the future and the dreams, he's just like, just cut out the middleman, do it yourself. He's like, do it yourself. I'll help you. I'll show you some of the tricks and what to do. And I went on that journey, and let me tell you, anytime you start something new, it's like, and when it's not in your judge or your wheelhouse, it's a lot. And it's a lot to process, a lot to figure out, and it's scary.
Right.
You know.
Right. So we're here with Candice Lenoir. She's an author, an actress, a producer, businesswoman who wrote this book, Being Number One. Hey, y'all make sure y'all get this book. It's available at Amazon, right? Yeah. And let me ask you, what is your goal for people to read this book? When you wrote this book, you had to have like, you know what, I'm gonna express myself. But what do you want people to come away with after they finish your book?
You know, the why is, if my story can help somebody else, then if it can help one person, then I feel like it's done its job. You know, I honestly can't say when I was writing it, I was like, yeah, I want this person to take away this, and I want this person to take away that. Just kind of growing up, and some people knowing some parts of my story, they've always been like, Candice, you should write your story. You should make your story. Like, you should talk about your life. And at first I just felt like, it's my life. You go through what you go through. It's life. It's not a big thing. But starting to recognize the power and your power and just walking in different stuff, I started being like, you know what? If it can't help somebody heal, or if it can help some kid that feels like they got to go do the bad stuff or go that route, if it can help in any way, then that's the whole purpose of it. It's just to help somebody else if it can.
Okay, so look, I ain't gonna hold you much longer, but I got a couple more questions.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and then the other thing I want to say, with going through that and being number one and being the eldest, you put yourself on the back burner, not realizing you do it. In the book, I also talk about the oxygen mask and starting to put yourself first, being the baby, because when you take on those positions, a friend told me once, she's like, you don't love yourself. And I was just like, I just not love myself. What do you mean? But it's like, if you sacrifice yourself and put everybody else's thing first and yours last, you're not caring and loving for yourself. Like they say, put your oxygen mask on first in planes for a reason. I didn't agree with that. I thought they was foolish, because I'm like, you got to save the kid. But it's like, if you pass out in the middle of trying to save the kid, then what does that do? So you have to make sure you're okay first. And I want people to understand it's okay. You can be okay. Take care of yourself.
Wow. Let me ask you, okay, so what's next for you? What's next for you?
What's next? The sky's the limit. Well, I would say what's going on right now, I would say one is working on, I have two a web series and a film that me and Squeaky, you know Squeaky Moore, right?
Yes, Squeaky Moore, the female.
Yeah.
Right? Yes.
We're working on a film together, something that we started writing back in right when I moved out here from LA, from New York, that we decided to pick back up. Is still relevant. So we're working on a project, and then me and some of my good friends here is working on like an ensemble cast project. So all of that stuff is in development as of now. And then, auditioning, acting, doing that for sure. And then I also have my scholarship foundation that I started this year.
Yes, let's talk about that.
Yeah, it's called Your Path Scholarship, and it is for African American and Black students that are in the arts, rather TV, film, theater, music, dance. That's in the arts. That's majoring or minoring in the arts, and attending HBCUs. And that came about because when I was in school and I was in the Great Business Program and decided to minor, I found a moment when I wanted to completely switch over to theater, but because I received my money to pay for school from my internship in the business program, it was hard for me to make that decision. And I didn't. I stayed in a business program. So far as the scholarship is concerned, it's just like, if it can help someone get that step closer towards what it is that they truly want to do, their passion, that's what it's for. That's why it's for majoring or minoring, because I know what it feels like when you really want to be over there, but you have to stay here for something. And so if I can help some kind of way, that's what I want to do.
That's fantastic. Look, okay, so I want to play a game with you before I let you.
Oh, I like games.
So this game is called Rapid Fire.
Okay.
Rapid Fire. I'm gonna ask you a list of questions. Not questions. I'm gonna say a list of words. One word. You say the first thing that comes to your mind. Now I'm gonna say I hijacked this game from a show I was on about a month ago. And it was so fun. I said, shit, I'm going to take this game on my show. Shout out to In the Basement with Javon. And
genius is still, you know what I mean?
That's right. So, okay. So you get it? I'm going to say a word, one word. You say the first word to come to your mind. Okay? Chicago.
Cold.
New York.
Grimy.
LA.
Fake.
I like that.
But I like LA.
Right. HBCU.
Proud.
Winning.
Truthfulness.
Dreams.
Has no expiration date.
Whoa! Shit! Been reading my mind.
Look,
Sacrifice.
Sacrifice. Know your limit. Sorry, you said one word. My bad.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Family.
Everything. Love.
Love.
Oh, love. Work.
Final question.
Okay.
Final word. Forgiveness.
Do it. That's not one word, but you have to do it. It's for yourself.
Man.
Freedom. I'm gonna say that. Forgiveness, freedom.
Good for you. Good for you. Give us let the people know where they can find your book again, where they can follow you on all your social media pages.
Absolutely. You can find my book, Being Number One, Overcoming Obstacles and Healing Your Inner Child, on Amazon. If you want a signed copy, you can go to CandiceLenoir.com/books and get it there. I am on all platforms at Candice Lenoir, and that's CandiceLenoir, and my author actor page is CandiceLenoir on Facebook.
Hey, look, I got me a copy and she signed. She said, my brother, thank you for your support. I love your hustle and your energy. I wish you blessings and prosperity in everything you do. Continue to build the legacy, King. Always stand in your power, live your truth, heart and soul. I love that. Thank you very much, Mama.
Welcome, Derek.
I appreciate that. Look, I wish you nothing but I want you to sell 1 million copies 1 million times. And just do you. We got the build for the culture. It's all about the culture. That's the reason why I started this podcast, for the culture, baby.
I love it.
All right.
Well, before we go, I know we didn't talk about 12 Step to Recovery, but I'm trying to.
Oh yes.
I'm trying to convince Tony he needs to do a reunion of some sort, or.
Yes, he need to do. You know what? I should talk to him and get y'all on my show. We can have a big old reunion party. I can host it. We can show some episodes. Man, that'll be fun virtual show. I'm telling you.
Yes.
So dope. So look, thank you so much for coming on the show. I bless you in all that you do. You stay amazing, stay strong. And
Thank you, Derek.
Okay? That's my guest. Back to you, Mama. That's my guest. Give her a shout out, y'all, in the digital building. My guest, Candice Lenoir. Until next time. May the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows. Be extra good to yourself.
Amen.
I'm Derek Muhammad, and I'm out.
All right. Bye.
Bye.